Are you guys ready for a new Great Depression? One of the first things that fascist governments do is insulate their dear leaders from all criticism. Usually people are too afraid to directly criticize dear leader because they understand that there are consequences, right? Like Trump in particular, anytime anyone's even remotely critical, he threatens to revoke their media license, to go after them legally, right? It finally happened. Somebody pointed out to Trump that his constant floundering on tariffs does make him look like an enormous pussy. Taco Trump.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country, and because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, okay, I'll give you till July 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? Because we have $14 trillion now invested, committed to investing when Biden didn't have practically anything.
Okay, notice that traditionally when he gets an adversarial question, he blows it off and attacks the reporter directly. This is him actually being defensive. Of course, the truth is obviously that, yeah, the markets have been whiplashing up and down in large part because so far Trump has backed off or carved exceptions out for basically every major tariff, This one actually got to him.
Biden, this country was dying. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I went to Saudi Arabia. The king told me. He said, we have the hottest country in the world right now. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation. You set a number. And if you go down, if I set a number at a ridiculous high number and I go down a little bit, they want me to hold that number, 145% tariff. Even I said, man, that really got up. You know how it got? Because of fentanyl and many other things, and you added it up. I said, where are we now? We're at 145%. I said, whoa, that's high. That's high. They were doing no business whatsoever, and they were having a lot of problems. We were very nice to China. I don't know if they're going to be nice to us, but we were very nice to China. And in many ways, I think we really helped China tremendously because, they were having great difficulty because we were basically going cold turkey with China. We were doing no business because of the tariff, because it was so high. But I knew that. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead. To me, that's the nastiest question. Wait a minute. Wait. Go ahead, please.
So I genuinely think there's a very real possibility that we see a big ramp up in the tariffs out of hurt ego on his part. Oh, did the markets go down immediately after that crash out? Fantastic. Absolutely stellar. Everyone down 200. Yeah, Dow Jones down 200. Fantastic. Look, as I've said, Trump is senile and doesn't really know what he's doing, and people go along with what he says because he has the public mandate, at least in the eyes of the GOP, right? That's the golden calf they're all kind of, running around with. I don't know. It could all end up being an ego thing. He might blow up over this. It doesn't seem like anyone's really holding him back, right? It is the reason why, though, no matter how much they posture with their tough guy bullshit, every single fascist leader, as soon as they get the chance, completely isolates themselves from mockery. Sometimes they can take criticism. Sometimes they can take jokes at their expense, right? Because Trump has done that plenty of times, right? He plays into it a little bit. He's not actually that self-serious of a guy, even though he's a huge egomaniac. But genuine ridicule over the absurdity of what they do or what they say, they cannot stand that shit. Yeah, they're very thin-skinned. And this is why, by the way, like, remember when Kamala Harris in her one debate with Trump, which she indisputably won, she hit him with the people are leaving your crowds early, and he spent the next 6 months talking about, he was at rallies pointing out, saying, those people, they're not leaving, they're just going to the bathroom. He literally did that multiple times. Genuine mockery they cannot handle. He's still mad over it. When he remembers it, he still fumes. It also plays into Trump's very obvious insecurity about never being accepted by the New York financial elite when he was a real estate developer. Yeah, a lot of his antipathy towards that particular crowd does seem to come from a place of like longing. Like how a lot of his hatred towards Harvard in particular, probably at least in part because Barron wasn't accepted there, you know? Or right, him. I think that he was always treated by the real New York elites as a kind of like clown, which I mean he is, but he's never been like a self-serious investment type, you know? Anyway, this is actually leading to a big how do I say? A lot of people are talking about this. Like a lot of people. I think maybe because it's like an official acknowledgement of what we've all known for a long time, which is that, and everyone, including people on the right, but especially people who are big in investment, that he has no idea what he's doing and it's all a clown show. And the best you can do is like ride the wave and try to invest at the right points, like buy every dip, sell at every high point. You know, you're really just kind of like riding the wave of the chaos. But nobody's really talked about that with him, and it's frustrating because you will have people, you'll have like Howard will do an NBC interview or whatever, you know, and the interviewer will say like, people are concerned about the reliability of these tariffs that are coming out of the White House when it seems they change in a whim, which is like a setup question that gives Trump's lackeys the ability to deflect or to say, oh, it's all part of the plan, when what you really need to do and what a lot of people really want to see is just mocking them because they're obviously out of control. You need to laugh at them. This is more effective than any setup question. And the fact that this reporter, I don't know which one it was. I don't know who the lady was who actually asked it. Let me see if I can recognize her. No, the camera doesn't turn to her. I'm sure somebody could find it. But like asking, people are making fun of you. They've given you a stupid nickname. How do you respond? Perfect. You get what I mean, right? It's genuinely insane. It took 4 months for the media to ask him why he's a pussy-ass coward on the tariffs. Lol. Yeah, no, because they always ask it the wrong way. They're like, can you explain to the American people what your strategy is on these tariffs? Which is, again, like you're always teeing them up for the easy answer. How likely do you think it is that the Trump admin tries to deport that journalist? Oh, I'm sure they'll say something. I did really like Trump trying to play it off at the beginning, though.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out.
He's like, I didn't hear that right, did I? I didn't hear that right. Yeah, kick out? Always kicks out the tariffs or something? What?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that?
And then his acknowledgement, because he knew from the beginning what was actually said, and he was just trying to like, nah, he genuinely misheard. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I think he was like trying to do the saving grace thing a little bit. It was still very funny. Can't read too much into it. It's not like his brain, you know, who knows how it's all built together. I think he buffered. It just took a while for it to make its way through the ping. Anyway, we'll see if we get like a second Great Depression over this one. I don't know. Perhaps it'll be worse. I mean, you gotta understand from his perspective, he probably does genuinely think that, like, the real country loves him, you know? And the Wall Street investors, like, he's doing all of this for them, kind of. I just found out it was Megan Casella of CNBC who asked him the question. God bless her. God bless her. That is genuinely the first time in a long time that a journalist has done anything pointed to Trump. Look at how the New York Post frames it. The story's getting picked up enough that even the right has to signal boost it. Trump rips reporter who asked if he always chickens out on tariff threats. That's a nasty question. Fantastic stuff. Don't put in the newspapers that I was mad. Caption: The president demanded that the reporter not ask a, quote, nasty question, end quote, like that again. Great stuff. Great stuff. Stocks are going up. They're only going to let Donald Trump talk to Carolyn Levitt's second press pool from now on. Casella said Trump getting mad at the question was a badge of honor. Being based? Hold on.
Bluffing on some of these tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. You might have heard the term taco trade. Trump always chickens out. That's what some analysts, some commentators have been using to talk about this. So I asked the president directly, what's his response to that? And he had a long answer. Here's just a piece of it. Take a listen.
All right, well, I've seen it.
Kelly, he did not like this question, I can tell you, but he did go on to say that, especially when it comes to the EU and his backing off, temporarily at least, of that 50% tariff threat, he says the EU wouldn't be here today negotiating if it weren't for that. Now, when he makes a deal with them for something much more reasonable, people will say, oh, he was chicken. He says that's so unbelievable. So getting the president's take there on this question of whether he's bluffing too much and is hard to take seriously now on the global stage on these tariff threats. Just a couple of other topics.
Again, like everyone believes this. Like even Trump supporters believe this, right? Any Trump supporter who's been following the tariffs to any extent, they're like, oh yeah, it's all some great game of chess. Like, yeah, it's all whiplashing, but there's a purpose to it, you know? But you're still acknowledging the whiplashing. It's just crazy how bad journalism has gotten in this country that something like this, all due respect to the lady, you know, but that something like this is considered like a big mark. If this sets Trump off, can you imagine what, like, I don't know, an average European reporter acting the way they would do to Trump? Like just the way we've seen people act on France 4 or DW or whatever. Just like a 30-minute conversation with Trump. It would be ruinous. These pussies have to insulate themselves from so much criticism in order to maintain their, you know, their facade.
Here, I also asked him about TikTok, especially in light of the Nippon-U.S. steel deal and the U.S. government's role in that deal. I asked whether that might be something we see for TikTok as well. He said no, these are in completely different scenarios, but he does say that the Chinese are difficult to work with. We'll probably have to get China's approval, but he does think that he'll be able to save TikTok and wants to do that.
That's great. Well, good on you, lady. Good on you. Is it to maintain a facade? No. I mean, it's to maintain a facade from the perspective of the dear leader, from the fascist, you know?